Ho ho, baby. 1-800-449-8255. And you're at the Clark the Shark Show. Oh, yeah. You know it. And I'm going to talk about an incredible album. Once again, from 1966, that year again. So many great albums. But the KINKS, Face to Face. Oh, man. What a great record this is. And this is the album where the KINKS really become the KINKS. Now, before this, they were really good, but they got better here. And the witty, ironic Ray Davies lyrics and Dave Davies, man, both the guys are in full bloom here on this 5-star album, man. Oh, yeah, baby. 5 stars is what it's going to get. And there they are. Some idiot gave it 4 stars. But Face to Face by the KINKS is amazing. Every one of these songs is... oh, man. Well, let's break into this egg here. Rip the shell off of an amazing rock and roll achievement. 1966. Party Line. I love it. I love it. I love that song. Dave Davies sings it, but supposedly, you know, Ray claims he wrote it. Dave claims he wrote it. But it's such a killer song, man. Who cares? It's definitely awesome with Dave singing it. Just a rockin' tune. And then all of a sudden, Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home is like the first song where Ray is like, okay, I'm a fucking rock and roll genius. Here we go. And he's laying down the demo blueprint for some amazing KINKS albums that are about to happen in 1967, 68, 69, 70, 71. Oh, you know the albums, baby. All the amazing, the golden years of the KINKS. And I would say every KINKS album is the golden period because Ray Davies, in my view, can do no wrong. He's so witty, such a British, not really eccentric, but he's really intelligent. And Dave's different, but he's kind of like Ray. But Dave's a little more abstract version of Ray. But both Dave and Ray are geniuses. And the bass player, Pete Keefe, who quit this band. I don't think he's on Arthur. The last album he was on was that amazing one from 1968. I would never have quit the KINKS. If I'm on bass, I'm staying in this amazing band because the albums right through the 1970s, the Green Album, the Yellow Album, the Purple Album, even that silly, retarded, funny one where, Norman, he changes places with Norman. I love all the KINKS. Ray ideas are so wacky, man. Even Star Maker. And then Schoolboys in Disgrace is amazing. And from there, the KINKS go to the next level. And they just get on fire. But we're going to talk about Face to Face, 1966. Dandy, awesome song. Awesome. Too Much on My Mind. Oh, great. Both of these songs were covered by other bands. And everyone thinks they did them better than the KINKS, but I disagree. Dandy, I think Herman's Hermits did it. It's kind of cool, but you can't top Ray and the KINKS, man. And Too Much on My Mind, I think the band's called Garden of Eden or something. Is a really Killer version of that song. Uh, I love that song, Too Much on My Mind. And then Session Man, a song about Jimmy Page, is just funny, man. Really ahead of its time lyrical idea. And Rainy Day in June is just fabulous, amazing. Almost could be like a song by the Doors, but better, way better than them. It's an anthem, man. Rainy Day in June is ahead of this album. It's almost like seems like a song from the 1970s. And A House in the Country. Funny little thing, man. Little Village Green idea there. You can see the great albums emerging. And, you know, side 2 is amazing. All these songs. Holiday and Waikiki. It's all killer, man. Of course, the classic Sunny Afternoon is on this album. And to me, that's like the worst song on the album. At 1-800-449-8255. I'll Remember. Great song. And You're Looking Fine. Great song. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. Of course, you know I love Little Miss Queen of Darkness, baby. And Fancy. Side 2 is amazing, man. It's epic and themic. And, you know, the next 3 Kinks albums after this one go to a whole new level. We all know that. But these 4 guys, these 4 geniuses, made an incredible album here in 1966. This album, Face to Face, and Ray Davies did not like this album cover. But I love it. It almost looks like Frank Zappa. Like the Kinks were trying to confuse you by putting a guy that looks like Zappa. It doesn't look like Ray Davies, man. The Kinks, Face to Face, 1966. What a year for The Who, The Music Machine, The Beatles' Revolver, Frank Zappa, Freak Out. The Doors recorded their first album in 1966. And all that American punk, Texas punk, all the bands returning to the garage and making the raw garage rock and roll sounds. And I love that band, the Losing Streaks. They celebrate 1966. And, you know, a lot of people forget that grunge rock is a celebration of 1966. You know, but me, Clark the Shark, I like to celebrate 1966, but I love 1967 psychedelia and 1968 the blues, like the Stones, man, Beggar's Banquet. But I'm not talking about them right now. I'm talking about Face to Face by the Kinks. This amazing album. And the Kinks, oh man, they're just my favorite band, man. I love the Kinks. And the album's something else. 1967. Oh, I'm going to review that one, baby. And of course, Village Green. And Arthur. And Lola. This band, the Kinks. This amazing, witty, lyrical, funny, ironic band. Genius. Ray Davies is such a funny, ironic genius. And yet he's sardonic and he's downtrodden. And he's singing about the blues and just alcohol and misery. And he does it like no one else, man. He puts John Lennon to shame. And he puts Pete Townsend to shame. And he puts Frank Zappa to shame. Ray Davies is the king of rock and roll. Forget Elvis. Ray Davies. Every Kinks album is amazing, genius, funny, ironic, irreverent, beautiful. I love the Kinks, man. I love the Kinks more than life itself. I listen to the Kinks. I've listened to them all my life. And Ray Davies, just such a genius poet, lyricist. There's no genius like Ray Davies. And you listen to the Kinks' Yellow album, Preservation 1 and Preservation 2. Genius albums, loaded with great, amazing songs. And the Green album, with that live album with it, Everybody's in Showbiz. Oh man, amazing album. And of course, Muswell Hillbillies, amazing. I couldn't do a Kinks, best, worst to best. I would never do that because every album is great. Every album is different. Every album is apples to oranges with Ray Davies and Dave Davies and the Kinks. And these guys are amazing live. I saw the Kinks in 1985 at the LA Sports Arena, and the crowd booed the Kinks when the show was over because they kept messing with the crowd all night. They'd play like 30 seconds of Lola, and then they wouldn't play. And that was just Ray and Dave on stage. The Blasters opened for them, man. And the Blasters were amazing, but the Kinks blew them away because the Kinks are the Kinks. And in the 80s, this band got really big. They made a lot of money. Late 70s, too. They went to the next level. A lot of people say the Kinks were down, and then they finally got good. No, that's not true. The Kinks were awesome and great, and then they went amazing, brilliant, genius to a whole nother level with albums like Misfits, 1978. That's a perfect album. It's a 10 out of 10. 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. And I'm talking about my favorite band of all time. This genius poet, lyricist, who writes songs about me and my life. And you too. He writes about us all. Ray Davies. Genius. Genius poet. Genius lyricist. Man, he's genius. And this album, it's just incredible. 1-800-449-8255. You've got to listen to every song on this album and pay attention to side 2. All these 7 songs on side 2. Listen to them over and over. Incredible. Of course, side 1 is brilliant. You Dandy and Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home. But this album is so much more than that. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. And I'm talking about the greatest rock and roll band of all time. They are the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Kinks, Ray Davies, Dave Davies, and all the other guys. The two Johns in the 70s. Pete Keefe, all of them, man. Of course, the great drummer, Mick Avery. He's great, man. Love him. Now, he's no Keith Moon. He's no John Bonham, but man, he is a Ringo timekeeping master, better than Charlie Watts. And he's perfect for the Kinks. They are so amazing with Mick Avery on drums. And I love the Kinks. I love this band. I love all their albums. I listen to these albums by the Kinks more than any other band. And this album and the next one after it, I would say are the greatest, but they're all great. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show, the Wolfman Jack on crack. And you just got the best review, the most artistic, witty, incredible. Stanford versus Cal. The band is on the field and Clark the Shark is reviewing. And no one gonna touch Clark the Shark, because I know what I'm talking about. From Frank Zappa to the Kinks to Pete Townsend to Keith Moon to John Lennon to everything, man. To the Stooges to everything, to the MC5 to the Who Sell Out to Mick Jagger to Beggar's Banquet to Let It Bleed, Let It Be by the Beatles. Every album, baby. Clark the Shark knows them at 1-800-449-8255. You're on the Clark the Shark Show. And you just got the real deal, baby. The Kinks. Face to Face, 1966. Amazing album. I'm out.